co-op mode, round 34. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Mark the Canardian Carabin. How are you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic. Good to be back on our show after a little guest spot on Secret Friends proper. So I'm excited to, as excited as I was to geek out about a whole bunch of other things, especially Star Wars, I'm equally as excited to go through all the fun and a surprising amount of video game stories that have happened in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
I think we kind of got used to not much on the story front and not much going on with new things in the world in general. So it's kind of good to be back and swinging and talking before the show. Like, how are we going to tackle this many stories? So it's kind of good. So I'm excited to get to it. But first, how are you?
I am fantastic. And quite honestly, there's only one release date I'm really excited for, and that is Baby Carabin. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! We are in the final countdown. Is there a last minute patch prepared for Baby Carabin?
No, we're gonna see just how it's delivered. I think it's already it's gone gold, as you will, because we as of last Friday, and I think I've said it on the show. Anyway, I've announced it on Facebook. So we're having a boy, if I didn't say it on the show already. So, so I'm very excited for that. Not that I wouldn't be excited if it was a girl, but as of last Friday, he is full term. So any day now, the official due date is the 22nd. But man, we're getting close.
Yeah, the DLC is ready. We've got like high chairs and other nurture accoutrements. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, you're going to love the soundtrack, Mark. It's going to be a lot of like quiet classical. Little Baby Einstein, maybe.
Yes. You know what? I have been checking out some like baby lullabies of different real songs and stuff. And there's everything, man. Everything from Star Wars, which of course I instantly added to my Apple Music playlist, to like, hard rock and classic stuff. It's fantastic, man. I didn't realize the plethora of available lullabies. It's really fantastic.
And a side note, I thought this was hilarious. Saturday Night Live has been doing their at-home presentations, and one of their skits this week was a little song. It was "Let Kids Drink." Apparently, parents need their children to drink as well to chill out. So I thought it was pretty funny. I've got a 14-year-old. Really don't need him drinking because he's got teenage brain anyways. So yeah, so you're prepared. I'm excited for you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. And once again, we might even have like a third co-host eventually, where Mark has got the papoose going and Baby Yoda's happening, and yeah, we'll see.
We do have a little Yoda plushie upstairs. My wife was actually just upstairs getting arranging some plushies and some things, and she stole a bunch of my Nintendo stuff and a bunch of her Disney stuff. So there's things missing all throughout the house of little Disney figures and Mario and Zelda and stuff. And I was just up there before we started recording, and I noticed like one of my little Link amiibos just randomly on a shelf there. So she's all excited getting things ready as well. But yeah, all the big stuff is ready, like you said, all the DLC, crib and change table and all that fun stuff. So we are ready to go. I installed a car seat. That was fun. I'm ready.
Excellent. Yeah,
as ready as I'm gonna be.
Well, and I think you're right there, which is great because you're like in the landing path where my son was a month early, so we were really caught off guard. Didn't even have the car seat ready to go. So yeah, I mean, this is perfect. And quite honestly, Mark, there's no excuse for you not to have anything ready. You've been at home for 8 weeks, so it's like,
well, see, that's been good to get ready, but some things have been delayed because of shipping.
Oh, yeah. Can't get things.
So that was a big panic, or just like, we got gift cards from places or whatever, people dropping off things or wanting to drop off things that they couldn't see here, or her family in another city, a 4 or 5 hour drive away. So it was, working out shipping and that kind of stuff because they can't come visit. It has been a bit of a panic. And a friend of mine just had a baby that came 3 weeks early or maybe a month early or something like that. It's a similar situation that you were in, where it was like, oh man, we have to rush and get all this stuff ready. So as soon as that baby came, it was like, okay, I need to make sure we have things here. I need to figure out all the shipping. I need to figure out the necessities that we absolutely have to have, and I need to build them right away. So it's been a fun few weeks.
I hope babies are considered essential and baby things are considered essential with Amazon Prime, but I guess we'll figure this out. Yeah.
A lot of it has been pretty quick, I have to say, but we are still waiting on one thing that I think should be here Wednesday. So by the time, it's Monday now while we're recording. So I'm hoping, by the time people are listening to this, we have most, if not all of the stuff.
Well, I think the fortunate part is, Mark, you've timed this correctly. You've got 5 months, essentially 6 months, that you can just get used to the baby. And then when certain other things are birthed, like next-gen consoles, you can say, yeah, I've got my old baby, but I got my new baby and ready to go. And your wife will understand because, hey, someone's got to nurture those new infants, right?
Well, I'm waiting on another new baby right now. I ordered an iPad Pro about a month ago, and it's still not actually. What's the date today? Oh, I ordered it over a month ago. Jeez, freaking thing's still not here. So that one's driving me extra crazy because I have accessories for everything. So I got a new keyboard and the case and
sitting there taunting you.
All of the stuff, a stand. I have a whole thing to basically make a desktop setup, and everything's just staring at it. I'm sitting here right now and I see the case just sitting on my table here, and it's all slowly driving me crazy because I ordered all of that stuff well after I ordered the iPad, and everything's here other than the Apple Pencil, which had to come from China and I think should be here Wednesday or Thursday because I got it custom engraved with a little smiley face.
Nice. Probably in the ship that was carrying my toilet paper, now that they've said after 2 months of waiting is no longer coming. So, but I have a new baby. I got an iPhone SE 2020 edition, so kind of see it with my wife. Yeah, we were the lucky recipients of cracked screens at the exact same time.
Oh, mercy. That's crap timing.
Yeah, my wife had the original SE, which is hilarious. And her phone, the screen, it totally shattered and actually is separating from the device. I'm like, you know what? Perfect timing. Wow. We lucked out and we're enjoying that. I'm getting used to iPhone again. So
that was going to be my question. How are you getting used to the iOS system and ecosystem and all that kind of stuff again? You've gone back and forth, right? You're fairly platform agnostic when it comes to phones in the past, yeah?
Yeah, I've had iPads. We have a current, I guess it would be the last small iPad, which was 9.7 inches, now went to 10.2, right. But it was the one that was compatible with the Pencil, so we've had that. And then the last iPhone I owned was the 5, which is crazy. Because that's when iPhones just went crazy, and then they said, oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay for the whole thing yourself. And I'm like, oh, $800 for a phone? Yeah. So, no, I think it's cool. I like it. It's smaller than my Samsung, which is funny because it has a lot of bezel, which is funny because the Samsung just takes with the whole thing. But I like it. It's fast. It does everything I want. It just the navigation, because Samsung's got the back and it's more Windows-like. I just have to get used to one button and all that fun stuff, but I like it. So, and I'm going to play around with. I actually get Apple TV now for a year, which is kind of nice. And maybe we can double it with my wife, and then because she also got one as well. And then I also want to really get into the Apple gaming service because I've really wanted to try a couple of games there too. So it's a perfect time to do it. So I've got no excuses
for sure. Watch what's it called? Raven's Banquet. Is that what it's called?
Hero. The gaming the guys that did It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right?
Yes. Watch that show. Mythic Quest is what I'm trying to. Raven's Banquet is the subtitle, I suppose. It's Mythic Quest : Raven's Banquet, whatever. I found it wildly entertaining, and then I ate a very special cookie one night, and continued watching the show. And there's a weird episode about halfway in that you don't understand until you get to the end of the show. But I was watching that and just tripping balls that I put on a wrong show or started just like I had no idea what was going on. And then we got to the end of it and it like, like I was like, oh, that cookie didn't hit me that hard that I was like, it was a weird thing, but just watch the whole way through. I promise it makes sense.
Excellent. Well, guys, I apologize. We have not talked about video gaming at all yet. This has been fun. So I hope you're enjoying the ride. But, we're going to start off, though, with what we've been gaming. So, Mark, have you been hanging out with, Travis Scott in Fortnite?
Yes, that is the first thing I wanted to talk about. So Fortnite's had a couple of big events recently. The first one, like you said, Travis Scott was a phenomenal show. Even if you don't like the music for Travis Scott, I thought it was a really, really good showing. But they just had another one that was, who was there? Deadmau5, Steve Aoki, and, I forget the other guy's name.
It was all glow sticks and little ecstasy. Everybody was going crazy, I assume.
Yeah. Dylan Francis, that's the other guy's name. Okay. This one was a lot more like low key, basically, than the Travis Scott. So that one was like a big
Travis Scott. He was like a huge hologram, right? And you're just walking through level, enormous, and you could go around and yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that was more of like they were taking you through a show kind of thing, and at one point you were flying over the entire world, and that you were underwater, and it was crazy. That was an epic event, and it was one of the best they've done. This new one, I don't know if I prefer it, but I hope to see a lot more stuff like this. So, like I said, 3 DJs: Dylan Francis, Steve Aoki, and Deadmau5. They played for a little over an hour, and it was basically like watching them on a Skype or a Zoom call. So you were actually watching them. They had this big virtual screen set up on a beach, and these massive speakers that you could stand on and jump around and do all this stuff. And it was basically you're watching them perform a set, and they had crazy backgrounds and stuff, just like a fun Zoom call or something. But they just basically, I hung out with 2 of my friends, one who lives close and the other who lives halfway across Canada. And we just hung out, we chatted, we listened to some music. We had just a great time, and it was really, really fun. And it didn't have to be a massive event. It was basically just watching a Skype call inside of Fortnite. So I hope they do more low key, lower scale stuff like that, because it was still really, really fun. It was really cool. I was digging the music, and it was just a cool hang. It was neat.
It's amazing. Eventually we will have a presidential debate within Fortnite, or E3, or something huge within Fortnite, because it just seems to be the way you get there to get a lot of people engaged.
That seems to be where they're going with this portion of Fortnite. So far we've had the Save the World mode, Battle Royale mode, of course, which is the most popular, creative mode where you can create anything, and this is kind of a new one they're doing. It's called Party Royale. There's no weapons. You could get funny little plunger launcher, bow and arrows, paintball guns, bounce pads, and that kind of stuff, but nothing that could damage people. And it's just a place to hang out. And I think they're going to be making that more of a, I think I've said this before, but more of a Ready Player One kind of thing, of you can go in, you can make it your own, you can hang out in your virtual avatar. And like I said, I hung out with a couple of my friends. We literally sat up on a giant speaker and watched this show. And like, it was just kind of cool to like hang out and do that kind of stuff. And, I really think that's where this specific mode is kind of going, of that like virtual meeting space. So I wouldn't be surprised, maybe not a presidential debate, but I would imagine there's going to be some other stuff popping up in this Fortnite Party Royale mode. So yeah, keep an eye on that space for sure.
Man, Second Life and PlayStation Home are just kicking themselves, because this is what they wanted, and it just was too soon. And who knew it took an epic game, zombie defense, I guess beta to launch into I guess we can thank PUBG for all this. Wow, thanks PUBG.
Yeah, really, it's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, really, really cool. At one point, we jumped up on the front of the stage and just started dancing and stuff, and then other people started joining us. Like I had a Deadpool and a couple of other people like come up and join us on the front of the stage, like. But you had to kind of glide down on it, so we kind of figured out how to do that. And then other people were like, "Oh man, did you see what they did?" And we had a bunch of people dancing. It was hilarious. It was just an awesome time.
That's so cool, so cool. Yeah. Especially now you can't have real concerts in real life, anyways.
Exactly. Yeah. Might as well do it in Fortnite. Yeah, really cool.
Absolutely, and it's free. Why not?
Exactly. So you've been also visiting other worlds or outer worlds,
I have.
We should say.
Yeah, Outer Worlds. Like I said, I think I mentioned that I got back into this game and I tore it up. I squeezed all the life out of this game, played all the side quests, really got into it, enjoyed it quite a bit. Although I found out that I was on the last mission and this game uses disguises to basically infiltrate. So if you get these disguises, they only last so long. But you have to get a certain level to get these disguises. The last mission, you had to have like persuasion or intimidate at like the level that you probably wouldn't have elevated to. It was like 80, and I think I had it at 50. So you can just imagine those are skill points you're assigning as you're doing this. And it's like, I wasn't even close. So then it turned into essentially the last mission turned into a stealth or a run mission. And I basically said, I suck at stealth. So I just ran like a bat out of hell, Mark. I just ran. And it was so funny because you get this one like scientific weapon that's called the gloop gun that essentially destroys gravity and moves your enemies away. Either elevates them and leaves them hanging or just pushes them away. So I used that in conjunction and then got through that part and got to the end boss. And it really only had one big boss fight. And I really enjoyed that because I thought it was fun. It was intuitive. It didn't really take me out of the game as a whole, and I really enjoyed it. And my son played it and beat it as well. So it was kind of cool to see and have us talk about our experience through it. And it was funny because he got something from me early where I said, oh yeah, if you go crazy and kill people and just act like a madman, but if you leave the area and come back, they don't have any memory of what you did. So there's no permanence. So he's like, oh, really? So guess what he did, Mark? My son decided to be the chaotic person and like had no conscience. And I'm like, oh, you're the worst. But he's my son.
I like it.
So I like the fact that he was, his sense of what he could do to really play the system. I like the fact that he figured out. He's smarter than I am. But I loved it. And the game does something cool at the end. I don't know if you remember like movies like Animal House or where basically they recap where all the characters are at the end of the movie. Outer Worlds does this, and it's so much fun.
Nice.
Because you can actually go back if you want to, and it basically saves before the end event where it ends the game. So if you want to, you can go back and finish up side quests, which is I love because it only takes you away from like 5 minutes to the end. So it's nice. It's not inconvenient, but I love it because it recapped what all of your characters did. So I thought it was the perfect 25 to 30 hour game. If you've got time to play this, it's really a Fallout game made by Obsidian where they have tweaked it. And quite honestly, I had like no, world-breaking bugs either. So I say kudos to them for their engine that works, and it was really great. So if you want to get back into Outer Worlds, it's there on Game Pass still. I loved it. Really loved it.
That's a big if for my time, but we'll see in the next couple of weeks what I have time for.
Hey, Mark, I think a Project xCloud on your phone, it's perfect for that, right? You got your phone clip. Hey, there you go.
All set. The next, speaking of time for games, and there goes my dog again. Hopefully she's not too loud. She's gone upstairs, so that's good. Speaking of time for games, I blew through a game this past weekend, and that's Mortal Kombat 10 or Mortal Kombat X, again on Game Pass, which is beautiful. So what happened was there's some updates for Mortal Kombat 11 coming, and it was on sale, and I just bought the entire like collection with all the DLC and the upcoming update and all that kind of stuff. But I started Mortal Kombat 11 and then remembered that I got maybe 2 or 3 chapters into Mortal Kombat 10 and had no sweet clue what was going on, because the story picks up literally
absolutely
exactly where Mortal Kombat 10 ends. So if you jump into 11, either do what I did and blow through 10 in a weekend, or watch like a recap on YouTube or something. But I wanted the experience of playing through it myself and doing that kind of stuff. Plus, like I said, it was on Game Pass, so why not jump back into Mortal Kombat 10? I erased my old save. I started right from the start and plowed through it to the end. I will admit I did turn it on easy mode at some points, just because honestly, when I'm playing a game for the specific purpose of seeing where the story is so I can start another game, I don't care. Like I didn't turn it on baby mode or whatever, like the easiest mode is, where I'm sure it's like one punch and you win. So I'm not that bad. Even on easy mode, the final boss was he was a bit of a pain, but I think it took me 2 shots to beat it, but not too bad. But
was the final boss Burger King? I can't remember.
Yes,
so many weird characters.
Yeah, there are a lot of weird characters, but I love the humor in these newer Mortal Kombat stories and Mortal Kombat games. I'm now at this point now very early on in Mortal Kombat 11, but again, very much enjoying it, and we'll continue to play that game, and I can't wait. Like you said, there's some new DLC going. Right? We were talking before the show started, and you were saying you were excited for the DLC.
Yeah, I love 10. One of my guilty pleasures is fighting games and their story mode. Some are horrible, some are great. I think Mortal Kombat and Injustice nail it so well. Well, Mark. So I loved 11. I love 10. But Aftermath is coming. We saw the trailer. I'm really surprised that they're doing this, but it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it looks badass. And, they didn't have anything like this for 10, right? No. Like 10, the story ended,
and character pack,
and 11 basically picked that up. Yeah, that's it. So, it is really cool to see 11 kind of get this 11.5 edition, right? Like this additional story and characters and all this continued support. So, yeah, it looks really, really cool. So I'm sure when that comes out, like I said, I bought the entire pass. So I will have that to play with, and we'll be talking about that on a later show for sure.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how I'm going to buy it. Apparently, if you own 11 and you own the first character pack, the expansion's $40. It comes with RoboCop. That's the main new character that they've added. Yep. But apparently Spawn and a bunch of other characters have been part of 11 as well. So I'm kind of out of the loop with, because I didn't play that. So I'm going to have to probably buy the total package, which is $60, which includes everything plus Aftermath. But still, it's cool. It's coming to every console. So I think this is great, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, I did make the tough decision to get this on Xbox One X. It was very, very close to trying to getting it on Switch. Just to 11, obviously I was going to play 10 on Game Pass. But with what I've been talking about the last couple of months, being able to play my Switch anytime on the go, take it with me, take that graphical hit, or do I want to play this at a smooth frame rate, very high fidelity graphics? And for 11, I chose to go all in on the deluxe mode, or the deluxe edition, whatever, for Xbox One X. So hopefully I still have the time to play that in the next couple of weeks. We will see, but that's where I grabbed this one.
That is fantastic. I cannot wait as well. I believe that comes out the end of May. Which is great.
You're right. Yeah, it gives me time to finish the story. Like I said, I blew through 10 in a weekend. I'm sure I can do 11 in a couple of days as well. Really good. And they're such solid games, just mechanically and everything. They are so good. If you're like me and you haven't really gotten into a Mortal Kombat or a proper fighting game in a while, I played the hell out of Smash, but haven't really gotten into a fighting game in I don't even know how long, but it's been a while. So this was a really great return to form, and I want to go and watch the what is it, 1995? I want to watch that movie again, like the original.
Oh my God! One of the best songs, movie songs of all time. Yeah, perfect.
I haven't found it on any streaming services in Canada, which I'm sad about. And I don't know if I own the DVD. I know I owned it on VHS back in the day. So I have to go through my DVD collection or maybe just buy or rent it on iTunes or something. So
good idea.
I'm sure I can find it.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently there's a new animated Mortal Kombat as well, which I heard is really good and ultra violent. So might have to check that out as well. And Mark, I'm going to make a proposal. I will buy it on Series Xbox One X. And you and I will play against each other because, quite honestly, you and I have not gamed together, which is funny.
No,
in all this we haven't. So I'm going to do that because I love this.
All right.
I suck, and I'm perfectly horrible at it. But you know what? It's fun. Good. We need to play that because there's another game we need to play as well, which actually a transition to that. Streets of Rage 4 on Game Pass came out.
How is it?
It is phenomenal. Love it. This is basically a beautiful update to Streets of Rage 3. This is not going to be like the Breath of the Wild of beat 'em ups or anything like that, where it's doing something completely different, but it is beautiful. It's very competent. I loved all of the combos you could do for selectable characters right away. They all play a little bit different. The cool part is once you beat a level, you don't have to start from scratch. You can go back and select the levels if you come back to it. So I beat 3 levels. I can go back and select any of the 3 levels to play again if I want to do so. One of the fun parts is, Mark, you'll love this. The power-ups to get health are food items. You can select what your food items are. If you're vegan, you can select a vegan option. I love it. You can pick a Japanese food. You can select a turkey if you want. Ground turkey is an odd thing, right? Would you eat a ground turkey, Mark? Not ground turkey, but a turkey on the ground.
No, I was just going to say I made some burgers out of ground turkey last week, so I would definitely eat that again. But no, a turkey off of the ground, I'd have to be in pretty dire straits. Do you want to know how dumb I am?
No. I mean, yes, I do.
This game was on.
But you're not dumb.
I forgot this game was on Game Pass. Yes, I am. I looked at it on Switch and I almost bought it. And instead, I bought Mortal Kombat, and I would have wasted, what is it, $25, $30 or something stupid like that?
$25 or $30, yeah. And it's beautiful. And this is a game we should play together because it's the perfect co-op game.
Yeah. Just opened up my my app, and I sent it to my Xbox because I'm that dumb that you just reminded me.
So I think, Mark, we should have a co-op mode weekend. So any folks who are out there, we need to share our gamer tags and things like that at the end of the show too, because I realize we haven't done that. So we need to do that and send out a broad request. I want to play with people because I have been the antisocial gamer, and I need to do this. I need to do that. I can play with other people because I like doing it. And I felt like, I don't know what I'll say, but I just want to have fun with folks. So I'm going to come out of my shell, Mark.
Totally down. Yep. Totally down. A lot of time, everyone knows if you listen to the show, you'll find me playing Fortnite. So if you're playing Fortnite, but yeah, let's play anything. I'll download whatever and play with the community. Let's get it on the go for sure.
Yeah, and if you see me out there, just invite me, guys, because I'm one of those people I feel like, about them. They're probably playing and having a good time. Just bother me. I want to play. So, cool. So I'm curious because you played a game that I don't know where you played it. How did you play Wonderful 101?
I kickstarted the game, so I got the download code.
You got it already?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was out already.
Yeah, so the physical edition got delayed, but they sent out the codes to any of the backers. So anyone that backed that, if you didn't find it in your email so far, check your junk mail box because the Steam and Switch codes and probably any other codes, whatever, are out. And I think anyone that got physical editions, you have a free Steam code no matter what because of the delay. So check your inboxes for that. But so after a little hiccup, at first they sent out codes and it said, here's your switch code. And the switch code said none. So that was a glitch that they had apparently, that it was like not delivering the actual whatever 12-digit, 16-digit code or something stupid like that. It was, everyone's message was none. And I thought I screwed something up, and then went on the message board on Kickstarter and it was like, I got none. So I was like, okay, good. But they quickly corrected that. And like I said, Mortal Kombat did take most of my weekend, but I have been able to play a little bit of Wonderful 101, and so far it's wonderful. It's very platinum and weird, and there's some funny voice acting and some weird stuff. I was playing it earlier today, and there was a part that it was voice acting. My wife just looked at me like, what the hell are you playing? Because it's just so kooky and Japanesey, but I'm loving it, man. I kind of missed it the first time around on Wii U, so I'm really happy to get back into it now. But you can tell it was made for the Wii U and that gamepad, because there are some like, okay, trace this, and you got to do it with the right stick instead of like tracing it on the touchscreen kind of thing. So maybe playing in handheld, I'll be able to trace things. But if you're playing it with a controller, it works. It definitely works. Don't get me wrong. But you can tell that some things were made for that Wii U gamepad touchscreen integration that is obviously not always built into the Switch. So so far so good on Wonderful 101. I think that comes out for the general public maybe by the end of the month.
Yeah, I think so. I love the Wonderful 101, but I didn't get very far in it. To your point, it's like Power Rangers, where you've got 101 these characters who basically turn into objects like guns and things as you trace them. And I just love the mechanic. I thought it was funny. And this was one of the lauded launch like window Wii U games. Like, oh my God, did you see Wonderful 101? It looked cool. And everybody now I feel kind of feels like, oh, it wasn't great. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is its redemption. So I love to hear that. I really want to play it again.
Yeah, I hope this gets some attention. I mean, it got crazy amounts of Kickstarter attention, and I hope people like yourself that didn't back it on Kickstarter, and believe me, I understand not backing it on Kickstarter. Very leery of that service and some of the games that haven't or should have been delivered by now, whatever. Let's not get into that. But anyway, yeah, Wonderful 101, so far wonderful, and I hope it gets a decent amount of attention this time around.
Absolutely. Awesome.
What else?
I will buy that.
Playing a couple of other games.
Yeah, really quickly, our RE3 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake. This comes actually with an online mode. I think it's called Resistance. Didn't touch that at all. But it's kind of one of those like 4v1. The director basically is the guy who actually gets to plan all of the assaults from the zombies, and the four characters they're playing co-op online to take down or survive, I guess, is kind of cool. But I didn't play that at all. But I played the campaign and I loved it. This is basically picking up right after RE2 remake, same style, beautiful game, just so wonderful. Still has a lot of those same elements of the original RE games, where limited inventory, things like that, the saves. But I really enjoyed it. The Nemesis was the big part of this game, where you had to avoid him. The Nemesis, I felt in this game, was more of a planned event versus Mr. X in RE2, where he just showed up out of the blue. But same type of effect. How are you going to get past him? And I will say, Nemesis, I was happy to finally kill him, because I think I took him on in a boss battle like 5 times. And I'm like, seriously? Again, but still really fun, really enjoyable. I did have to look up some things to figure out what I'm doing wrong, because it wasn't intuitive at points. I'm like, that just seems like a holdover from that era, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Highly recommend it. It's short though, so maybe get it when it's on sale, because I think it took me like 8 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely So, well, depends. Maybe if the multiplayer, if you end up getting into that, or you think you're going to get into it, might extend the time a little bit. But yeah, if you're playing it just for story mode, similar to how I felt about Mortal Kombat X, I was very happy to get that on Game Pass, because it was, a couple of hours, very entertaining, but once I was done with it, especially now that 11's out, I'm not going to put time into multiplayer. I'm not going to put time into other modes. I wanted to know where the story was, and I'm happy I didn't pay a cent for it other than the monthly Game Pass subscription. So good to hear for RE3. The remakes they've been doing have been phenomenal. So it's great to see that they're really having some success with their old franchises, and hopefully they apply that to some of their other older franchises.
Absolutely, and this was a GameFly game too, so I didn't spend any money on this, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I've really enjoyed GameFly because it allows me to play games that are shorter that I can enjoy, and still, they're going to get something from the publisher for doing this. So I appreciate that. So check it out, guys. Then I got another game on Game Pass, and that is Dreams, Mark, on PS4. Right. Dreams is the once again, Media Molecule creating an engine and trying to make a game of it, but really it's more of a secret way to get people to create and do cool stuff. So I did play the campaign, which is kind of cool. It's kind of not that great, though. It's still limited based on the fact that it's an engine. And I think it's more about what the engine can do than their capability of actually building a good game. I would like to see Media Molecule eventually just make a game versus making a set of tools, because I don't think we've seen that yet. But it's beautiful, and the campaign takes place in kind of like an adventure game mode where you're this jazz musician, you're part of a band. They apparently thought you were a little bit too adventurous in your music styles, so they kick you out. And then along the way, you have these weird flashbacks where you had stuffed animals, where they end up going on, and you have dreams as these stuffed animals that are actually a third-person type of, almost like a Mario or a Ratchet and Clank type of, platformer. And then you also have another thing that almost looks like, and it's another type of third-person platformer as well, when you had another toy that would go off and do things, and you're trying to defeat this enemy. So it's very cute. It's very fun. Like I said, it's an adventure game as well, so you have to find the right thing to solve the right thing. It's kind of fetch questy and stuff like that, but it's very stylistic. The funny part was that there were a lot of musical elements of this, where you'd have basically meet characters. They would rap, they would perform, they would sing, and as they're doing it, you basically collect these little baubles or bubbles that you can then use to create levels. So it's very weird.
Mercy.
But it's cool. I liked it. It's really neat. And then my son said, "Hey, check out this guy's levels." And I checked this level out. It was really cool that somebody made. And it was almost like a Godzilla level. And I'm just blown away that they have the ability to make these type of games, and all of the attributes that you can reuse and things like that are just totally blows me away. Compared to a Mario Maker, this is third person, beautiful. I mean, these are PS3 level type of, assets that's just at your disposal. So it's out there, and apparently they just announced a new update that improves the physics engine, which is just fantastic. And this is a no-brainer to come to PS5. It's going to go there. It's going to get updated
for sure.
And so I think this should just be a free game that people can then create. I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Should this be? I think we're going to get to that a little bit later, but I was going to ask, do you think this should be a free pack-in with PS5? And that's kind of how they sell this differentiator of PS5 not only very powerful next generation console, but also comes with the ability to create your own worlds and that kind of stuff. Dreams, 2 or just Dreams, PS5, whatever they want to call it. But it could be very interesting. But let's save that for later.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe move on to the news flash.
Absolutely, Mark. So we actually had a lot of gaming news. So kick us off.
Yeah, a ton of gaming news, some big, some small. But the first thing we'll talk about is we had an Inside Xbox. So let's just get this out of the way right now. I think they kind of messed up only with the wording on this. I thought this was a fun little show. It wasn't a big look at, this wasn't their showcase. This was a fun little, here's a kind of slow month. We know it's been a little slow. Here's a few little peeks at some games, some small, some big, some indie, whatever, that, we're going to use right now to tide you over until the artist formerly known as E3 season. So, this was pitched, though, as a first look at Xbox Series X gameplay, which I think was the wrong messaging for this. If they had said, have a look at some great games, and all of these are smart delivery games. Some of them may be running on Series X, but the big thing with the next generation consoles, and there's been article after article since this showcase came out of now both. And I think if Sony came out first, they would have had the same problem. I think it was just whoever showed off the new games first. You're not going to get much better than PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. The graphics, if you're expecting some big Super Nintendo to N64 amazing, mind-blowing graphical leap, you're not going to get that, because these are doing 4K graphics. They're pushing high fidelity looking games, just like the current consoles are. What we're going to be getting is faster load times and maybe smarter AI, maybe some bigger worlds. But as far as a small gameplay snippet like you're going to see in any kind of trailers, you're not going to see that. So a lot of people were either incredibly pissed off. Myself, I was just kind of like, I was texting my brother back and forth while we were watching it live and just saying, like, this is what I expected. I did not expect a big graphical leap. This is not how you're going to show off the next generation of systems. And I think they worded this wrong. But that's they did show off Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Bright Memory Infinite, which I thought looked pretty crazy. And which one's the one that was made by one dude?
Oh, that's Bright Memory Infinite with a DeLorean that looked like Crysis combined with a bunch of other things. It looked insane. Absolutely. I thought that cool weather effects, that was the game that looked most next gen, just because Logan's like saying, Dad, I can't see where the enemies are. And I'm like, yeah, it's the weather effects. But that looked the most next gen.
Yeah, for sure. Call of the Sea looked I like the look of this one for sure. The art style and that kind of stuff looked really cool. Chorus, that's another single player mature dark tale of redemption. Dirt 5 looked pretty cool.
That was the flight. The Chorus I thought really looked cool because that's the space shooter. That's the spaceship shooter, which you haven't seen a game like that. Since what? Crimson was the Xbox shooting game. Crimson Skies,
something like that.
Crimson Skies,
it has been a while. Yeah. Dirt 5 looks great. I'm sure that's going to look really cool. In motion, it's going to take advantage of that 60 frames per second locked in frame rate, or possibly even higher. And again, that's what we're going to get this gen. It's not going to be games that dip down to 30 FPS or variable frame rate kind of stuff. It's the power of these systems is going to lock that at 60, with the developers having the option of going up to 120 or whatever it is that the higher end TVs and stuff can take advantage of. But I think when you're playing it hands on, Dirt 5 is going to show off some differences. They showed off some Madden.
I think it was 6 seconds of Madden, which is seconds of gameplay, Mark. Seconds.
Oh my goodness, full seconds of it. They kept saying it'll make fans feel next level on Xbox Series X, and who knows what that means. One thing I did take away from that is, does that make did they mean make you feel next level as in your feelings? You're going to feel that,
Feeling simulator. Is there a feelings like graphics engine?
Well, I'm wondering if that was a hint at Xbox maybe modifying the controller a little bit and putting some haptic feedback in it, kind of like PlayStation 5's doing. Is that what they meant by feels next level? But Xbox let them say that, because it could mean also your feelings of the game. So interesting take there. I could be just reading into it, but
enhanced bone-breaking physics, maybe, where you see it and you're like, oh,
yeah, the
Alex
Mortal
Smith
Kombat in there,
injury, the Joe Nate, yeah. Oh boy, that'd be bad. The game that looked really cool, but it looks like a PS4 game, was Scarlet Nexus. That kind of looks like an Astral Chain type of game, but it looks still look cool, and the fact that it's on Xbox, that's awesome.
Yeah, super. A couple of really like Japanesey kind of looking games, which for Xbox is a big deal. If you kind of came in the middle of this and someone was just watching it and you didn't know it was on the screen, you would have possibly guessed that this was PlayStation 4 or even Switch. To see that stuff on an Xbox show was really cool. What else do we have? Scorn.
That was a weird, like,
terrifying,
was it Geiger-esque genital game?
yeah. That I will never unsee some of the things I saw there, and we'll see how that game plays out. Story, puzzles, and weird little things there. We'll see. Second Extinction looks kind of Turok meets, I don't know, Left 4 Dead or something, or the zombie hordes or something. But
I don't know the point of it except for killing a lot of dinosaurs at this point. I mean, I'd like to know that there's a point to it, but they look pretty when they explode.
Yeah, but they all look the same. I thought, like, change up the model or something. If I'm seeing next gen gameplay, I want to see the advantages of that. I don't want to see copy paste the same dinosaur 600 times. I want to see, even just slight variations, slight color variations, or different frills on one versus the next one, or something. But these look literally just like a copy paste. Maybe I wasn't looking close enough, but didn't super impress me. But they did look pretty when they exploded. I'll give you that.
Yeah, a lot of AA, not AAA games at this point.
Yes.
These are the games you put on Game Pass. You're like, oh, I'm glad they're there. I don't know if I'd buy them day one. And a lot of these studios, Mark, I mean, I don't recognize a lot of these studio names. Ebb, System Reaction, Neon Giant, Bloober Team had, that was the Blair Witch studio. But yeah, I mean, a lot of studios you haven't heard of before.
Yep. The Ascent looked kind of cool. That was the Neon Giant that you mentioned. I like the world that they were setting up, and this looks very cyberpunk-esque.
Yeah, I thought it was cyberpunk first. I'm like, is this cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, the look at the gameplay, I was like, doesn't look that engaging to me. I don't know. It's that action RPG kind of isometric view. Looks like
shooters almost. I thought it was almost like a what was that one studio that does all the PlayStation games that are twin stick? And I thought, oh, is that going to be them making their Xbox debut? Apparently not.
Right. No. So I mean that it could be very impressive, but those games again don't show very well. You are not getting up close detail when it's a top-down, almost isometric kind of angled view. This isn't what you want or need to show off next-gen graphics or any of that kind of stuff. It's weird. Like you said, there is a new game from Bloober Team, the guys that made Blair Witch, called The Medium, psychological horror game.
Kind of Alan Wake-esque type of feel.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the way, Bloober Team is the worst named team in the world. Bloober. It just makes me think of Slimer, Glooby, Globby.
It sounds like the kind of company that would make a Rick and Morty game rather than a bunch of really scary games.
Bloober Industries Incorporated.
Yeah, right? Like they should make the game about the Plumbus rather than some terrifying thing about child murder or whatever. Sure. One that I did think was kind of cool looking, although again didn't really show next gen stuff, but Vampire Bloodlines 2, Vampire the Masquerade, whatever it's called. What monster will you be is the little tagline for that. So I can't wait to run through a city as a vampire and just kind of, we'll see if I go the Logan route and just destroy everything in my path, or if I go a little bit more like I'm a nice vampire. Let's be friends.
Absolutely. And when I saw this at first, I thought, is this from the team that did We Happy Few at first? Because they had the weird smiles, very horrific looking. But yeah, when they actually introduced the vampiric powers and things like that, I'm like, that looks cool. I could definitely get into it. I love Vampire. Yeah, this could be cool. And I remember playing the original Vampire the Masquerade on PC, and I really enjoyed it. So this looked cool. But yeah, it was weird. One of those tales of two trailers, the gameplay versus what they showed with Donka Shane playing in the background. Very odd.
So weird. And it was one of those trailers that had a weird song that made you kind of pay attention to what was going on to try to figure out what it was, but it was they didn't explain too much about the game. They just kind of showed clips of different things going on, and so I want to know a little bit more about what's actually happening in that game. But another, I think the last one they really showed, or the last one we'll talk about anyway, is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Again, very Japanese, obviously, right in the name. This one looks crazy and weird and fun, and there we go. But this one not only features smart delivery, but also features cross-save functionality between Xbox One, Series X. So that is fantastic. That's one thing I don't think they've talked too much about is cross-save. They've talked about smart delivery, but does that mean you have to start over on every single game that you get, smart delivered? In that case, it may be worthwhile to keep those things on an external hard drive so they play in Xbox One mode rather than Series X mode. So we'll see how they figure this out. But I like that they specifically mentioned that in the description of this game. So kind of cool. But again, not a showcase for next gen. But if all of these said, hey, every single one of these games features smart delivery, thanks, we'll talk to you more about this in June or July when you'll see some first party stuff and a real show of what the Series X can do, I think the messaging would have been better. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Yakuza, I've never really, they've always looked like a series that I thought would be kind of cool to play. This one, when I saw it, it's like, oh my God, they've like huge cool explosions when you punch somebody. They've got a weird like crab that showed up out of the blue, like as a bonus maybe. My son's like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, and he didn't say that, of course, because I'd be like, what are you saying? Mind your mouth. But I thought it looked fun. But apparently it's going to be turn-based for the first time versus action. So very weird. But they didn't seem like it was turn-based. So once again, and this kind of leads into the next element, Mark. But I will say, to your point, they talked about smart delivery, which is just getting your games from Xbox One to Xbox Series X. So basically you play it on the system you have if you own it once. It transfers. Cross save is where your save goes where you played. Awesome. And then there's optimized for Series X as well. They talked about, and they have like this weird chart, but optimized for Series X means it's 4K 60 FPS and higher. Also means ray tracing enabled, and also the fast SSD. So we're going to have a lot of things to talk about, but that's really, in all the things they talked about with Series X, a lot of those things, the ray tracing and the fast load, you have to see yet. So that's I think where we need to see that. I want to see how fast does it load on Xbox One? How fast does it load on Series X? Yep. How does it look without ray tracing? How does it look with ray tracing? I think we're going to see a lot of those videos in June because Xbox has said, hey, we're going to have something every month. So that's cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it's worth getting upset knowing there's more to come.
No, exactly. And so the next story, you want to take that one of, basically, I guess, they admitted they were wrong.
Yeah. So I think the point was that they mentioned gameplay, to your point, which they shouldn't have. Most of these looked like cinematics. You couldn't really tell if somebody was actually playing it, or it looked like it was a very well mapped out cinematic that looked beautiful but was not representative of gameplay, which you want because you want to say, that's what I'm going to be doing, not with what I'm going to see from a gameplay trailer. Because we've had beautiful trailers since PS1 that look great, but then you see your player on the screen, it's like, oh, he's pixely and has 12 polygons. So yeah, I think everybody came back and said, the big one was like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because they showed their trailer last week and they said, oh, come back and you're going to see more of it. And essentially they said maybe 6 seconds of gameplay, maybe, but I couldn't tell that it was gameplay. It didn't look like gameplay to me.
No, no. When we were watching it again, I was watching it. My wife was watching some of the thing, and that was one that she paid attention for. I was texting back and forth with my brother, and all three of us were like, "What was gameplay on that?" And
Yeah.
I've since watched it back, and it's like maybe that, but then there's no, they've turned the HUD off, or they've edited it in a way that you can't see it, or there's something there that's, maybe it's in engine rather than rendered cutscene or something, and they counted that as gameplay. But man, the wording on this whole thing, from gameplay of Assassin's Creed to again, how they worded next gen gameplay in general versus, I think they should have just gone with smart delivery. I think they fumbled the message on this one completely.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things, and I get it. I mean, there might have been some gameplay baked in there, but it was really hard to tell it, and then just come off looking like ingenuine, and that's not good. You want to have a clear message, and the good thing is, though, everybody came forward and said, "Yep, we apologize. We didn't intend for that the way you guys wanted." But the good news is you're going to get more of it, and that's great. If this was all we got until like launch, then people would be really pissed off. But I mean, I think at this point, I'm like, the fact that they've been very more so than anybody else, Xbox has been so transparent, very good about this. I mean, it's been awesome, and the fact is that they're in front of this like right away. Mm-hmm. It's engendering a lot of support for Xbox once again, where Sony has shown nothing. So, I think this is a little bit of upset, but again, we're going to talk about all the different ways we're going to see Xbox over the next 4 months, which is fantastic, and I'm excited about this. And you called it the thing formerly known as E3 or whatever we're going to call this, but I'm excited about this, and I think that's part of where we're going, is the fact that we don't have to worry about just 1 week of cool stuff and things get missed, and then you get so much, and then it's like, oh, we feel like we're spent, and then it's like, oh, nothing new. But now we're getting so many different events that are going to be basically well paced throughout the next 4 months. I'm more excited about this than I have been with E3, because I kind of feel like it's going to be exciting and we're going to see a different cadence. But I think the biggest problem is Sony has yet to share their hand, but I think we'll talk about what Sony may be doing down the road. So with Mark, we've got a couple of different stories about this, but we'll kind of try to put this all together into one type of gaming story about how next gen and the different games this fall will be announced. So we've got a couple of different ways to do that. So Jeff Keighley was the first one who basically said, I'm going to be having a new way to talk about games and how they're announced, called Summer Games Fest. And he's going to be doing this basis, bringing in other conferences and other events under one, almost like a Google Calendar, which is what somebody has compared it to. Basically, hey, this is coming in. Did you add this to your Google Calendar, by the way?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't, but I should, because this is something that as E3 was falling apart and the world was figuring out how to do conferences and this kind of stuff is something that I thought about of, is it IGN? Is it someone else who is going to put together the calendar of what to pay attention to and when? And when IGN announced their own game thing, it was like, okay, well, maybe they're going to be putting precedence on that. So there we go.
I'm showing you my calendar right now, and there's an actual tomorrow. It's called Sunrise, and it is at 11 a.m., and that is going to be a gameplay trailer for a game that Jeff Keighley's going to talk about.
That is not Batman. He was very specific that it is not Batman. That is Sunrise #1. That is the first event after the Inside Xbox, I think. So yes, Sunrise #1. But people were saying maybe this is Batman. Maybe this is Batman. And Jeff Keighley was quick to snap back that it's not Batman. Just to manage expectations. This is a quote from Twitter. Quote, just to manage expectations, the Tuesday game is something cool and fun. That is from Jeff Keighley. So cool and fun does not describe Batman. I think he's since confirmed that it is not Batman, But yeah, seems like there's going to be a mix of these big events and little events, and I'm excited. And who better to put it all together than the guy that brings us the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley. He's a great guy in the industry, and if anyone can keep track of everything and bring everyone together, why not him?
Absolutely. And quite honestly, he doesn't have to have his own event. He's basically just being the ringleader for all of games, which is great. He's the spokesman. He is a professional. He has contacts. And the only group he doesn't have contacts with is Nintendo, which is just funny because he talked about Sony, Xbox, all of these third parties and, first party studios and things like that. But Nintendo's the one that is lacking, which is kind of funny because typically Nintendo people wait with bated breath for their E3 Direct because you think of any company being ready for this that does a Direct, that doesn't have a stage presence, it's Nintendo. But as of right now, we've got rumors that Nintendo won't even show up and have a June Direct.
Yeah. So that's let's skip down to that story for a second. There's heavy rumors so far that they're telling partners we're not going to have something in June. Now, whether that means they're push it back till July, August, September, who knows? But it seems weird right now. We do not know the big fall heavy hitters. So they kind of have a limited window between now and kind of August at the latest, I would say, to get people ready of like, hey, here's what's coming in October, November, maybe December if they want to push something back that far. But like, really, I mean, if they're skipping the E3 timeframe of June, they've got to do something in the next month or two after that June timeframe. I mean, it's crazy to think that they wouldn't. Now, whether it's a big presentation like they normally would during E3, or maybe they're going to be doing some smaller directs. They'll be doing something for, rumored Super Mario 35th anniversary remaster, whether it's collection or a group of individual games. We've heard Super Mario All-Stars 2 featuring all the 3D games from 64 right up to, I believe, Galaxy. Who knows how this is going to work out, I guess. But and I don't know if this is specifically brought on by COVID-19 and work from home kind of stuff, maybe complicating things in Japan. But man, with the other consoles launching, everyone kind of expected Nintendo to come out swinging with Zelda 2, a Mario collection, Metroid collection, some new IP, whatever it was, for them to completely drop the ball. I don't want to say it's going to kill the Switch because I don't think anything can at this time. I've been so wrong before about thinking Nintendo had to come out with some big heavy hitter or a Switch Pro or this or that, and you still can't find the damn thing. So who knows? But it seems very strange that if they do skip the July or June, they wouldn't follow up in July or August with something at least.
Yeah, it seems like Nintendo has to do something though, because at this point, the last game they've announced that's actually coming out for the Switch from first party is the Xenoblade Chronicles update, whatever, I forgot what it was called.
Special edition, the end of the month,
definitive edition. Yeah, and that's it. Nothing else has been announced, and Nintendo's not one where they will announce a game and it's out 2 months later. They typically take 3 to 6 months to actually announce it and then have it out. And so this makes me a little bit worried. I mean, they could coast and just say, hey, we've got titles that people will buy and we'll have more Switches out.
We have the Pokemon expansion coming. Yeah. So we do know a couple of things. One, the Pokemon expansion's coming out in what, June? Yes. The first one?
Yeah, summer, and there's one in the fall. Yeah.
And two, we are getting a Smash Brothers Direct,
Fighters
maybe, possibly,
pack, maybe,
the Fighter Pack update in, when did they say that was, June or July?
I thought it was June as well. So, yeah.
So I don't know. We've heard from Sakurai that development and talks for Smash Brothers are still going at a good pace. He didn't say exactly the same pace to my knowledge, but they're still progressing, still being able to work from home, do that kind of stuff. So, it really, it's a weird rumor. And I want to hear the official word from Nintendo before I make any real judgments. But the rumor right now is, no big E3 style presentation, which again could just mean something smaller, could mean it's pushed back a month. Who knows? But they definitely could coast on that Pokemon and Smash and who knows. But we don't have any of the heavy hitters for the next few months.
And everybody was like saying, "Oh, Nintendo's going to have something huge this fall because they are going to fight off Xbox, Super Xbox, and PS5." And at this point, we don't know if they really will, but maybe they don't because those systems will be limited in stock. So maybe they don't have to, but they got to have something. I mean, they typically have a fall big holiday release. And without that and what they've already announced what they're going to have with their numbers in regards to what they're going to sell this fall, I don't think they can hit those numbers with just what they've already released in their catalog because a lot of people already have bought all the big games. So it's essentially, and I don't know how many people are going to stick with Animal Crossing and like that have not been able to get a system because I think everybody that's wanted Animal Crossing probably has it already. Maybe a few that don't have it couldn't buy a system, but we'll see. And,
of course. I just had a friend message me tonight. He just picked up Animal Crossing. He said, "Oh, I've got a new island, but if you want to come over and visit," I said, "No, I'm on the podcast tonight, but very soon, I'll come over and I'll drop him a bunch of stuff and that kind of stuff to help him get going." But that to your point, there is an Animal Crossing story that I'm going to skip to as well. That it has sold better than Nintendo had ever expected. So in 6 weeks, it's already passed their lifetime expectations for this. 13.41 million in 6 weeks, which is absolutely wild. That's the best ever launch for a Switch game. Beats Pokemon Sword and Shield's 12.9 million, which it did in 9 weeks. So man, this game launched at a perfect time. I don't know if you saw the story about one of the guys that wrote for the game saying, "Yes, I'm sick of the Seabass joke as well, and I wrote the damn thing." But it was a really cool story where he talked about the joke initially was it's a Seabass, maybe more of a C minus, and they changed that to C plus because they wanted it to be a positive thing. They wanted to say this sea bass is better than we expected rather than it's a disappointment. And they said that was a lot of the discussion in Animal Crossing. So I guess, perfect game, positive game at the right time. Who could have predicted that it would launch when everyone needed something overwhelmingly positive? But great to see that game. But will that float them through the fall? I don't really think so. I think they still need something big as much as I am loving that game. It is definitely a strange tactic. But again, Nintendo is one of those companies that you think they're going to zig, they zag, and it works out for them. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they've really expended almost all of their biggest franchises. So it's either they create sequels to a lot of these, Mario Odyssey, like you said, the Mario Collection, or Breath of the Wild 2 we know is potentially going to come up. But they've got some new cards they're going to have to unveil. Maybe it's that Mario Kart game that they've had to be working on because why not when you've had basically no new Mario Kart game for almost 6 years?
Mm-hmm. And they just had an online tournament with that game this weekend, although that was a real showcase of Nintendo screwing up online. At first, the code didn't work. The tournament said it happened in 2019 when you first put the code in. Saturday, their whole online network was down for several hours. It was a freaking mess. And for a system that officially has sold more than the N64 and GameCube combined, you'd think they'd have their shit together. But anyway.
Yeah, I hope they are not going to fall back on the old Nintendo, hey, happy where we're at and we can just maintain. I hope they are going to stay aggressive, do some things, and I guess we'll see. But, the cool part about is this whole thing is we talked about all the gaming events. IGN has stepped up to the plate, just like Jeff Keighley, and they're going to have their own Games of Summer event that's going to happen in June. And they've got a large group of people that will publishers and console owners who will be supporting that, which is great because IGN is probably the first name in games when it comes to games mediums. Then you've got also the Guerrilla Gaming Fest, which used to be the Kind of Funny's indie event, which was great. Basically, it gave all these little indie games some publicity through an event that's going to happen June 6th through 8 as well. So June's going to still be kind of exciting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, who knows? Nintendo may be pushing off some of their own stuff to let these third parties, these indies, all that kind of stuff, let them have their showcases in June. And they're going to come out in July with their first party stuff. Who knows? We are seeing, in specifically in this Guerrilla Collective, the list of developers and publishers, quickly going through the list, I'm seeing several that have published games on Switch that I know of, including Funcom, Humble. What else? Thunderful. They just launched Lonely Mountain Downhill on Switch. If you haven't picked that up, it's super fun. Super fun. I played it back on Xbox, but I haven't played the Switch version. I'm sure it's just as fun though. There, Whitehorn Games. I know they just launched or very close to launching a game on Switch. Whitethorn. But yeah, and several others. So, are we going to see Switch announcements through IGN, Guerrilla Collective, some of Keeley's stuff, even if it's maybe not first party? Will it be third party saying some stuff? Ubisoft just announced an event as well that we'll get to in a second. But we could see Switch games in other ways throughout July.
Absolutely. And then we are transitioning from the smaller indie publishers to Ubisoft. They're going to have an event. Typically, they do have a press conference at E3. They typically have had big announcements like Mario vs. Rabbids. They've had new franchises announced. And I think this is going to be an interesting year for Ubisoft. This event's going to be July 12th. Going to be digital as well. And they've got a lot of franchises beyond Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We haven't really known when they're going to be launching those. Gods and Monsters being one of those. Watch Dogs 3. Beyond that, what are the other franchises that we could potentially see?
Judging just by the artwork for the little tease they had from the hashtag UbiForward on Twitter, we could see. It's like a kind of looks like a countryside, hilly mountain range kind of thing. So this, could this be another Far Cry game or something like that? I'm wondering if this is a tease itself. It doesn't look Assassin's Creed-esque because there are some lights and stuff like that, looking kind of like houses on this little teaser. So I'm wondering if maybe that's something else we could see there. But I'm hoping to see some of the stuff we haven't heard from in a while, and maybe some fun new surprises. I do have to slightly divert something with some sad news. And not like legit sad, so don't get super sad or anything like that.
Oh my God, what's going on, Mark? I'm confused.
I just saw this pop up now that I'm looking at Ubisoft on Twitter. IGN is reporting right now that Star Wars Episode 1 Racer has been delayed for both PS4 and Switch. Wasn't this supposed to launch tomorrow or something?
I think so.
What the hell? Did they that is a last minute bug that they're pull these off the stores, delay them. So
what could be hidden in that source code, Mark? What did they find?
Right. Oh my goodness.
Jar Jar racist comments.
That's. I really don't know what could be holding back a game from N64 with such a bug that it would have to be delayed last minute like that. But I just saw that pop up in my feed. So I wish I knew more about what was going on there, but I felt like I had to share it as I read it because I was looking forward to that freaking game. So come on, what the hell?
Wait,
that sucks.
Ubisoft was publishing that?
No, I'm completely diverting.
Oh,
I
okay.
saw Ubisoft and then I went back because I was looking
Okay. I'm like,
about Ubisoft and then went back to my main feed and that was published. Actually, it's 4 hours ago now that I'm actually looking at the thing, but I just saw it pop up on my feed and was like, no, because that game looked fun and we've talked about it before. So anyway, sorry, back to Ubisoft and other events. Yeah, so Ubisoft could be fun. Who else is coming up?
yeah. So Sony has been quiet, as we known. They have really said but not shown. And it's time for them to do that. And it's really going to be a game of chicken between Microsoft and Sony to talk about price. So I'm not sure if we're going to hear about price for a while, but at least with Sony, they've got a box to show. They've got games to show. Because right now we got God's Feed Head, Arms, whatever that game was called. That was the only really exclusive we've seen.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll probably get a Last of Us 2 like port. Great. But you need to see this. And apparently there are rumors that we are going to see this Sony box and more from Sony early to mid-June. So we still have a couple weeks away from that, maybe 4 weeks-ish, which would lead us into about the E3 time as standard, but probably doing their own thing. But they're supposed to also be part of the IGN Games of Summer as well. So does this mean that they're going to show something before then?
I don't know. That's a tough call. Will they want to? They've been so tight-lipped. My instinct wants to say they're only going to do one thing, but yeah, maybe they'll do two different showcases and be a tiny part of IGN's and then blow it all out in their own. Who knows? I personally, I think they have to do as much as they can to try to kind of catch up, but who knows? One thing you said there, I want to get your feedback on it. You said a Last of Us 2 remaster or upmaster or whatever, would that spell disaster for Sony? If they don't come out with their own smart delivery system or something like that, with Xbox touting it so much, and whether or not they misstepped on the communication of the last Microsoft Direct or whatever the event was last weekend, with so much being focused on smart delivery. If Sony comes out and says, yeah, you'll buy this at the end of May and you'll also buy it in December, open your wallet, chumps, middle fingers, here you go. Is that going to just completely squash Sony this gen? Are fans going to be in an uproar, or do you think people will accept it and smart people will go to Xbox?
Mark, a certain Sony company
there.
once said you will get two jobs to afford their PS3 at $599 US and fight historical crabs in a Japanese game. So Sony, you can't put anything past them. But what I'm going to guess they're going to do, and this is me going back and putting my Sony hat, is Sony created something cool back in the day that they really, I don't think they played strong enough in, and that is cross-buy, cross-save. That was where you bought the game on PS3, you got it free on PS4. You got it on PS Vita, you got it free on PS4, and your saves crossed. Smart delivery is essentially the same thing, and people have said that. Oh, yeah. So it's time for Sony to say, hey, we did that in the past, guys, and we're bringing it back. You know, call it whatever you want, but, you know, we're bringing sexy back. We're bringing cross-buy and cross-save back, and I think that's where they're going to play because they can do that. But if they didn't do that, God almighty, Sony, and this is my worst. I mean, I love Sony, but they make a lot of dumbass decisions. I mean, they've struggled. They've had some numbskull type events, and I hope they're past that. But the problem is with Sony at this point, we don't know who the voice of Sony is yet. We don't know where they're going with PS5. What is it going to sit with versus like Xbox, who's very transparent, Nintendo, who is on their path and they are clear in where they're going. I hope this is going to be their way to basically say this is who we are. This is what we're going to do. They potentially will talk about their services, how they're going to readdress PlayStation Now, PS Plus, and really address what's going on in the industry since they launched those things, because quite honestly, they're behind. So I'm hoping they say, we're not dumb, but we've been planful, and we didn't want to speak until we had something to actually speak to our fans because we weren't ready. And I hope that's the only reason they've been holding off versus we don't know what the hell we're doing, but now you've complained, so we're showing you. It's like a bad parent that has to do something with their kid and like, oh, it's the tooth fairy day? Crap. I got a tooth I can put under your pillow.
We'll see for sure. But I think that'd be a massive misstep if they come out and say, hey, you'll be able to buy this again in October, November, December, whenever. That'll be. We thought Xbox did some missteps.
They can't be that dumb, Mark. They really can't, because Xbox is going to say, this is how you play your PS or Xbox One games on Series X. And they're just going to say, you log into your Series X. That's all they're going to do. Yeah. And it's going to be hilarious. And Sony's going to look like a bunch of dumbasses. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, well, Shuhei, please save us. Yeah. I'm bringing in the ghost of Joseph Moran, Mr. Badbit. That's it. Please break into Shuhei's house and drug him and hypnotize him, please. Stop breaking into Andy's house and go after Shu. Save us here. No, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Yeah. So I think we're set now. As from what I've seen from Jeff Keighley and everybody else, we're going to have announcements, a stream of announcements between all of these events. Even I believe Gamescom is going to be where this Summer of Games ends through September. So we're set, Mark. As long as Baby allows you to podcast, we're going to have a lot to talk about.
I think so. Yeah. No, I already, like I said, I practiced already with the Baby. What is it called? Like the strap backpack carrier thing where you strap to your chest, whatever. I put a stuffed monkey dressed as Batman in the carrier. I was playing some games. I was walking around the house. It's not going to slow me down. That's it. I'm already used to muting the mic when my dog barks. So muting it when the baby, cries or something. We're thumbs up. Yeah, it's fine. Say that now. Like it's going to be like one of those little 80s sitcom like flashes right now. You're going to talk to me in 2 weeks and my hair is going to be out in gray completely. And I'm going to be like, why? I was so dumb, Todd, 2 weeks ago. And it's like one of those little, it's, anyway, we'll see what happens.
You're going to do perfect. It's going to be awesome. Cannot wait this. The baby's going to be awesome sitting there. And it's going to be like 3 Men and a Baby or 2 Men and a Baby podcasting. Logan can join and he can just laugh.
There we go.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so we're going to end the podcast with a couple dumb little stupid stories. One would be not really dumb, but just to let you guys know that COVID may impact game development. And it's just because of where people are at. A lot of these folks are at home and they just don't have the capability or the hardware or an orchestra. Which I think is funny. Phil Spencer spoke on this, and he's like, yeah, guys, if you need an orchestra with a symphony, you may not be able to do that, or mocap or anything, and like that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff you can do from home. Honestly, working from home has hardly slowed me down in my actual day job at all. Aside from, I work at a car dealership doing their online stuff, social media. So if a new vehicle comes in, I can go down, I go in, I grab the keys, I take shots of that vehicle for the website, for Facebook, for whatever. We've done some videos, but even with videos and stuff, I basically throw a mic to someone and I still don't get within 6 feet. We, wash the mic and all that kind of stuff. And, we're very cognizant of keeping the distancing and the cleanliness and all that kind of stuff. So it's been easy enough for me doing that, but there are certain things, that you just cannot do from home, or you cannot do without combining into a group that is going to break those barriers and put yourself at risk. So it sucks. You can take a supercomputer home, but you cannot take a symphony.
No, and also just and someone talked about this, the fact of the security of files and sending those Dropbox or whatever you use corporately and VPNs and things like that. It's like, I get it. People don't want to be the guy who gets blamed for having your content then hacked and then shared up on the internet. That'd be bad.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely ways around that. You can get, securely, armored car vehicles to deliver a hard drive or a computer or something like that to someone's house. So they're not just taking a hard drive with the next Assassin's Creed game on a train or something. But yeah, I mean, there are definite risks as soon as something leaves an office in any single manner, and associated costs. I mean, it's, even if you did what I just said and did an armored car delivery to your animators or something like that, that's an additional cost that right now companies are wondering, how can we cut costs? How can we make money when everything's shut down? And I don't think it's a time to be saying, okay, well, we're going to have an armored car drop off secure files to each house individually of a team of thousands of people or whatever. So it's, some of the stuff is just unrealistic to think that it can keep on going.
Yeah, we have enough trouble just even sharing our podcast flow, Mark.
Right. I logged in to the wrong Google account today and couldn't edit any of the show notes.
What? It's not editable? What is this?
Simple things like that. Yeah. I mean, it's that's on me. I have 4 or 5 different Google accounts for various things, work included. I still have the Warp Whistle / Canardian Gamer account. I have my Uncharted account that, and a personal one. I think it's wild. So yeah, it's I mean, all of those things can be weird screw ups, and if you're logged in somewhere else or someone can view a file, that it doesn't take much.
No, and we all know the Chinese are just using Zoom to steal all our secrets. So there you go, guys.
Man, I am of course, because having a baby is enough on my plate in the next couple of weeks. I'm starting to teach an online course next week, which may or may not happen at this point next week, but we'll see. But yeah, they want me to use Zoom, and they sent me like a whatever Zoom Pro cost or whatever it is for this year, and I was just like, really? Zoom? That's where we're going with this? I've been reading just nonstop horror stories about the security. It's like, I don't want to install that on anything right now. And they're like, no, you have to use Zoom. And I was like, well, I'd fight it if they weren't paying me a great amount of money to teach this course. It came down to like, well, I don't care. Sure, I'll put.
You know what, Mark? We all have our price. That was a good recap of what's been going on. Lots of news. We are going to be going towards next gen, which I am so excited about. Can't wait to see all the new games. I mean, we've got so many new games already announced. This is very exciting. And once again, we've got the biggest release that's going to be coming to the Carabin household, which is baby Carabin. So we'll see how this goes. And Mark, we'll see how our podcasting goes.
Yeah, we'll see how the scheduling goes. I'd love to be able to continue going, as much as I can. So, hopefully it doesn't slow us down too much, which is nice with the every 2-week recording schedule. That's kind of nice. One thing that, we were going to do the bonus round this time and talk about E3 predictions or E3, formerly E3 time predictions, that kind of stuff. So if we're saving that for next time, maybe that's a good way to get some audience interaction, whether it's me here or a guest or something. We'll figure it out. But, what do you think? That's can we get some people calling in or sending some Twitter messages or messages on Facebook about their E3-esque predictions?
Oh, I think that's going to happen because people are so excited about what's going to happen. Very opinionated. Next Gen is going to bring out the colors and the fanboyism like you never saw before, Mark. It's exciting times.
So what do we want from people? PS5, Super Xbox, and Switch. So for PS5 and Super Xbox, we want, what do you think their launch dates are going to be? What do you think the price is going to be? And what's their initial gaming launch lineup going to look like?
Absolutely. And with Switch, we know we're not probably going to get a new system, but we know we're going to get new games, hopefully. Are they going to announce new features? Because quite honestly, they haven't been doing much with that. And then are they going to do any revisions? Are we going to get a Switch Pro, whatever? So we'd love to hear about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Todd, let them know if they want to list all of those, 3 minutes or less on a voicemail or whatever you want to do. If you want to even record a segment, drop it in a Google Drive or a Dropbox or something and send it to us. There are plenty of ways to get your voice heard on the show for sure. We can work with you. Send us a message. We'll figure it out. I think this would be really fun to get the community and their predictions in. So if you want to do one of those, all of those, whatever you want to do, Todd, do you want to let them know how they can find us?
Absolutely. We're on Twitter at Teoxtra and at _Canardian. We have a Facebook group and a page, and we have the hotline 872-225-2496, and that's where you can leave a long opinion piece if you want, a review, or what you think will happen with Next Gen 3 minutes or less, and we'd love to have it on the show. And if you do that, we'll get you something in regards to maybe a game. I've got a bunch of game codes, actually. I can definitely do that. Hook you up, guys, up with Round Guard on Xbox, but I've got other Steam codes, etc. Leave an iTunes review. We'd love that. And also you can call the hotline, as I said before. So, Mark, by the next time we talk, you will be a father, and I'm so excited for you, man.
It's a very distinct possibility. Yeah, the next time we record the podcast, I will have a child. So, holy crap! Not that I didn't know it was close, but holy crap! Saying it like that is just daunting and exciting. So,
yes,
wow, all right.
Yes, we are excited for you. And with that, folks. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and maybe Mark and maybe a special guest, because Mark might be breastfeeding.
I'm fairly certain they'd shoot Diet Pepsi or possibly rum at this point, but we'll see how it gets along, I guess. Yeah.
Yes. So with that, folks, as always, it's always better to game together.
In each of us, there burns the fury of a warrior. In every generation, a few are chosen to prove it.
One of you three will decide the outcome of the tournament.
3 strangers will travel to the mystical realm of Outworld to defend our people against Shang Tsung.
You will die.
And his forces of darkness in an ancient tournament. One more victory.
Your soul is mine.
And our world is theirs.
It has begun!